Hi, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to today's event to introduce you to the Essex Bond. I'm going to be your host for the next hour. My name is Lauren and really happy to see all of you here. I know some of you might be on your lunch breaks or on the move, but if you can, we would love if you could put your cameras on or even just turn them on, give us a wave so we can see the humans we're in the space with today. Hi, Tracy. Hello. Hi, Lauren. Hi, Tina. Look at all these headsets. Giving Britney Spears a run for her money. Love it. Hi, Terry. Hi, Mika. Helen.
Hi, Lauren. It's Misha.
Misha, my mistake. Thank you for
a weird name. I apologise.
No, thank you for correcting me. Welcome, Misha. Okay, so I'm sure we'll have folks.
Hi, Lauren. Can you hear me?
Hi, yes.
I'm dialing in from my iPhone. It's really tricky because I was in another meeting. So I've just kind of, yeah.
No worries. Hi, Helen. So I think we are going to, let's kick off, even though some folks will be joining over the next 5 minutes, I'm sure. We are really lucky to be welcomed today by Dan from Braintree and Helen from Essex. And I know, Helen, you just said hi from your car. So without further ado, I'm happy to hand over to you. I know you wanted to kind of set the scene for today's event.
Thanks, Lauren. I hope everybody can hear me.
Dan?
It's not the best way of starting a meeting, doing it from your car, but never mind. Anyway, can I just say a really big welcome to everybody that's on the call and a really big welcome to Lauren. We first met when you came to LearnFest. I hadn't heard about UPFRONT and we were blown away by it. So I don't want to steal Lauren's thunder, but this is really an amazing opportunity about helping women in the workplace. For Essex County Council, we've got a women's network and I'm the sponsor of the women's network for the County Council. We have about 1,000 members, but we know that women in the workplace, we know that a lot of people struggle with confidence. And I'd say that's the big ticket for me about UPFRONT, is about confidence and how you really can be helped to be an inspiration for people that you work with, but also most importantly for yourself. Anyway, if I say any more about UPFRONT, I'll be nicking Lauren's slides and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to hand over to Dan.
Thank you, Helen. I think Dan has just joined a second ago. Here he is. Hi, Dan. Welcome.
Hi, Lauren. So sorry, having a bit of a nightmare getting into the Zoom link, I'm afraid.
Don't worry, we made it. I'd love if you could say a few words just to follow on from Helen to set the scene from Braintree's perspective.
Yeah, thanks, Lauren. And again, sorry I joined late. Sorry for missing Helen's introduction as well, which I've been really interested to hear.
I'll forgive you, Dan. It's okay.
That's all right. I'll catch up with you later, Helen.
Yeah.
It's great to see so many people on the call, and I'm really excited about this. I think great that Essex is working together. My background is all about partnership working, and what I'm trying to do in my role in Braintree is make sure that we all see the value of working together across Greater Essex, actually. This bond seems like a brilliant idea for me, and I really value the input that Lauren's giving and our commitment to it as an employer. I want nothing more than for people to come to work at Braintree District Council and know that they can be their completely authentic selves. That is like number one priority for me, whoever they are, and anything we can do to support women in particular to feel like they can contribute in every way that they can is really important. Obviously it's part of a wider message around inclusion and diversity, but actually, I was looking at the little interview videos clips on the bond the other day, and I thought there were some really powerful statements in there. One person I remember just talking about just stopping apologizing was sort of, for her, had been just such a transformational experience. And I do hope in my role I can encourage certainly people working in Braintree and women working here to feel like they don't have to apologize for anything, that they are amazing and their contribution is just incredibly important to me. So I'm really grateful for being invited to come along today. I recognize I'm a white bloke with huge privilege, and so what do I know, basically? But I hope in some way, you know, this is helpful to hear, and I'll be really interested to see how the session goes. Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you so much, Dan, and thank you, Helen. I think it's really significant to have you both here representing your organisations, kind of putting your flag in the ground. So thank you so much for that introduction. A quick introduction to myself. So I know that some of you met me through the keynotes that I gave to Braintree in Essex, I think over the International Women's Day week. But if any of you don't know me, I'm Lauren Curry and I am the CEO of UPFRONT. I founded it in 2016. For the last 7 years, I've been a trustee and the chair of Pregnant Then Screwed, the UK's leading maternity discrimination charity. And in 2017, I was awarded an OBE for my services to design and diversity. So we are on a mission to support 1 million women, and super excited about this opportunity to bring the women of Essex together. So what we're going to talk about in this session is how the Essex Bond works, the results you can expect, who it's for, timings and cost, some success stories from organisations you'll recognise, and we've got time to ask questions. So before I get into that juicy stuff, I wanted to play you a short video, which is a case study from the work that we did with the Royal Borough of Greenwich Council. So we'll play that now and hopefully we can all hear it okay.
Hi, my name is Philippa Newis and I work for the Royal Borough of Greenwich, which is a London Borough Council. We serve about 500,000 people and we're with them in the best of times and the worst of times. Hello, my name is Lin Jing Ying and I am a designer. I currently lead a product function at the Royal Borough of Greenwich with a mission to make services and products better. I have a particular interest in growing an in-house team and skills and knowledge so that change is more sustainable. I invested in the UPFRONT confidence course for my teams because I'd done it myself and I'd seen the change that it prompted in me. And also I'd seen the change that it had on the other women in my UPFRONT bond. I joined UPFRONT course many years ago. So the moment when I started managing a large team, I immediately thought about Lauren because it was a course designed by Lauren with the ambition to inspire women to take on their own confidence journey.
I've always had a weird relationship with my inner self, like with my inner critic. And I was hoping that doing UPFRONT would give me that level of confidence and having a relationship with my inner critic that will just make me believe in myself more. And that's what I got from it.
At the beginning, I was very, very excited. When I started the course, I felt very impressed by the amazing women there, but the bonding, the energy. And then I realized that all of us were in the same journey, and I felt very challenged at the same time. So I realized that we need to work on this it is a life journey and we need to continue working on this path, I don't know, for the rest of our lives.
The thing that I was really hoping that UPFRONT would change for people is to take them on that journey where they have that penny drop moment, that moment where we decide that we're not going to collude with the harmful things that society tells us about women's confidence, but we start to take control of that narrative.
One of my first breakthrough moments was being in a breakout room with 3 other women and everyone just being transparent, honest, and I felt like I was mirroring myself. So that's one of the first. Second breakthrough moments was going along to the meet and greet. And that changed everything.
So I was hoping upfront to provide the inspirations, call to arms, and the language and toolkits for my colleagues in Greenwich to explore and take on their own confidence journey.
My first breakthrough moment on Upfront was when we did the module that covered growth mindset. I realized that I had been looking at every thing that went wrong or every disagreement that I had with somebody in the workplace as a sign of failure. Learning about the growth mindset made me realize these are just times for you to learn and to get better and improve. And I realized that if I can just shift my mindset, I could totally change my outlook at work.
I've seen so much difference in our teams since they've graduated from Upfront. I noticed actually after graduation from Upfront, one colleague, at least one of them, applied for promotion and has asked for the job and got it successfully. There's been a lot less apologizing. There's just an abundance of more. There is more generosity. There is more empathy. There is more saying what they think. And I also noticed more women showing up in meetings in a slightly different way. And they're more willing to speak up. They're more willing to, taking more notice of the time or the moment when they're holding themselves back.
I think probably two of my key takeaways were the analogy that confidence is like a muscle, just helps you realize that you can't build that muscle overnight. You have to train it up over time. And my second takeaway is that changing your relationship with confidence is pretty similar to changing your relationship with how you value yourself. And so building your confidence is about building your relationship with yourself and your worth.
I've been doing a lot of work within the RBG bonds, and I often start chats there, asking people how they are, have they seen this, do they know what's coming up, praising people if I've been in a meeting with them. It's just been a complete change in lots of ways.
If you are considering enrolling your teams onto Upfront, I want to say to you that I genuinely think it's the best investment that you can make in your women and non-binary folk in your organisation. But I also want to say that it's not the whole answer and that your organisation has to take the opportunity to change as well. You need to help those people to try on their newfound confidence, to do things differently and to find their collective vibe. This isn't about creating a bigger table for women and non-binary folk in your organisation. That's just about increasing the status quo. This is about crafting an entirely different kind of table for those people. And it's your responsibility as organisational leaders to create that environment for change.
Okay, so I think I always still get goosebumps, even though I've watched that video probably over 100 times. I think that team articulates so beautifully the value, the types of results you can expect, our mission, and the bigger picture of how Upfront contributes to bettering your organisation. So this invitation in this event is about our Essex bond, which we've been working hard with our colleagues at Braintree and Essex, and now we have opened our doors to invite other organisations and partner organisations in the region into our Essex bond. It will happen on September 11th till October 16th. It is a 6-week online programme, and we hope that by the end of this call, you will have all the information you need so that you can stand beside Braintree and Essex and enrol your teams and women in the Essex bond. So the context that was kind of touched upon in the video and what the course is all about is confidence, but we are changing the narrative around confidence because we believe that how most of us are taught to think about confidence is broken, because we're taught to think it's something that you're born with, it's something that people in suits have, it's something to do with power posing, where actually confidence is so much more nuanced and complex than that. And it's not about being loud or being extroverted or wearing a suit. you know, we're opening up new conversations about confidence that are about leadership and vulnerability and generosity and progress. But the reason that it's important and why I show that slide is because there is a cost to how we think about confidence. The dominant narrative that exists around confidence in most organizations means that we have a problem, specifically a problem for women and marginalized people, where the same systems that can reward confidence in men, even if they're incompetent, are those same systems that punish white women for not being confident enough, women of colour for being too confident, and essentially all women for demonstrating confidence in a way that's deemed unacceptable. So I'm sure all of you in this call will have at one stage in your career had feedback on your confidence. You'll have been told that you're doing it wrong. You're either too confident or not confident enough. And this, I think, paints a really stark picture of how harmful those narratives can become in a workplace, in a working environment. Because the problem becomes about women and individual women fixing themselves, rather than us recognizing that this is, yes, about individual agency, but it's also about society and culture and leadership and teams and institutions. So the problem isn't that women aren't confident. The problem is that confidence in women is not rewarded in the world. And that is the problem that we exist to solve here at UPFRONT. So we are a global organisation. Our bonds support and welcome women from all over the world, which isn't too relevant. Which isn't too relevant for our Essex. Sorry, my slides are jumping around. It's not too relevant for our Essex bond, given you're all in the same part of the world. But I share this to give you comfort that we are very experienced. We have worked with thousands upon thousands of women from all over. Our current public bond, which is our 7th cohort, has 2,000 women with over 20 different time zones represented. And how UPFRONT works is we have a 6-week course, which is our bond, the Essex bond, which we're here to talk about today. We have our community, our membership community, which is called Global Bond. And then we create lots of content. So we have a podcast and we have newsletters. And this is a testimonial from one of our clients at Just Eat Takeaway, who talks about the importance of UPFRONT in an organisational context. Every organisation is going through a lot of change. We are facing new ways of working, trying to understand what's going on around us. We're surrounded by ambiguity. Investing in the UPFRONT bond is one of the best things you can do to help your people get to a place where they feel great about themselves and their progress. It will give your people the tools they need to go and do their best work. So these are some of the organisations that we work with. We work with local government organisations, charity organisations, right through to private sector organisations at many different shapes and sizes and scales. And we have data to show that our product does what it says on the tin. So the average confidence increase for our bond number 5, which was our 5th cohort, was 109% in 6 weeks. And our follow-up studies that we do months and years after the bond takes place shows that that maintains itself, that confidence continues to grow over time. So how will the Essex bond work? So there are 3 main components. There is a course. Now, the online course is made up of 26 videos. Those videos are all fairly short and bite-sized so that your people can watch them as and when they wish and they can fit into busy schedules. There's also an online community, and that community is where people connect and learn and grow together. And then once a week, we have what we call a live session. That's what the picture on the right-hand side is. And a live session is a bit like this. It is a Zoom call where we answer questions, we give talks, and we work through the challenges that the bonders have given us that week. And then Global Bond is the membership community where after you do the 6-week course, you graduate into Global Bond, and that's our membership community where we have meetups and book clubs and speakers and lots of different interventions to maintain behaviour change over a long period of time. So how the course aspect works is once you get an email, with your people would get an email with a login button. You log in and then you're able to see the 26 videos. Each video has exercises attached to it and a further reading PDF. All of the PDFs they can download and keep forever. So the only thing that's closed after 6 weeks are the videos themselves. Then I want to talk you through just a wee highlight of what those videos look like, what our curriculum is. So the first chapter is the philosophy behind UPFRONT. One of the academics who has informed this chapter is Carol Dweck, which was referenced in the video around growth mindset work. The second chapter is around culture and systems. So this is around team meetings, confidence cultures at work, speaking up, and also we have a piece on whiteness and privilege where we have an anti-racism coach present in the space to support our white bonders on their learning and to also make space for our bonders who are Black and brown, so they have a private space to go into their learning journey as a group as well. And Dr. Kristen Neff is a pioneer in the field of self-compassion, so she's somebody we reference a lot in that chapter. The third chapter is the physicality of confidence. So we do work around breath and voice and posture. This is the more traditional how to tell stories, how to present well, how to communicate piece of the course. And most of this is based on my experience of being a keynote speaker for many, many years and working with thousands of women over the last 6 years through our bonds and our work at UPFRONT. And then our fourth chapter is focused on reality. So now you've learned these new skills and you have these new frameworks and strategies. How are you going to put this into practice? So this is about presenting, introducing yourself, how to lift others up, how to practice when you have a difficult conversation or a pitch coming up. And we use things like appreciative inquiry, systems thinking, and circle of influence. The community part is all online. We have an app. So once your people sign up, they get access to the app. We have discussion threads. We have a library where they can watch all the recordings of the weekly lives. They can private message each other. And obviously I'm in there, my team are in there. We're starting conversations. We're giving people prompts. The weekly lives are everybody's favorite thing. It's the best way to start a Monday. They happen every Monday morning for 1 hour. And they are very high energy. They're always recorded. So if the people can't make those lives, they can always watch the recording back. And the way the lives work is we would ask our Essex bonders, what would you like us to talk about? They will give us challenges and problems, and then they upvote for the one that we want us to talk about. So it might be things like managing up, navigating conflict, working and thriving in a male-dominated environment, dealing with uncertainty, lots of different topics. So we have reams of testimonials from lots of different bonders from the local government sector, from the work that we have done with some of the London Borough Councils that I shared before. And we also have, really strong champions and people like Emma McGowan, who is the Design and Transformation Director at Surrey, who was one of the champions who helped get the Lottie bond off the ground. And when we started that programme, she said, this is the first time in history that women in the local government sector have come together in this way to focus on their growth, leadership and power. So the Lottie bond, which I will circulate these slides at the end with a link to the Lottie bond case study. Lottie, I'm sure you're all familiar with, the London Office of Technology and Innovation. They funded all 22 London Borough Councils to take part in their very own bond. And that was what myself and Daryl and some of our other colleagues were inspired by that model to recreate that for Essex. So the process and how it works is we have a really robust evaluation framework that we have built around the leading psychological and clinical measure of confidence, which is imposter syndrome. So everyone fills in a survey at the start of the 6 weeks, and the questions are based around self-efficacy, self-advocacy, self-improvement, and self-image. They then answer the same questions at the end of the 6 weeks. So we're able to give you and your leaders very clear data on how your Essex cohort have progressed in each of those 4 subscales. And those 4 subscales directly link to recruitment, retention and motivation, leadership development, and corporate culture. Some of the results that you can expect. So, as I said at the start, we are in our 7th public bond, and I think that's taken us over the 5,000 person mark. We think we've from around 50 countries. And so the bond is the community part of the course, and it's based upon 3 truths: that low confidence is a consequence of the patriarchy, that not all women experience oppression in the same way, and that it is our responsibility to learn how to share our power and our privilege. In terms of who this bond is aimed at and the skills they will develop, we welcome bonders from chief exec level right through to apprenticeship. So it's entirely up to you who you want to invite to take part in this. I would recommend a call out, and then people can self-select. That is the best way, I think, for the first time we work together. And I will get to costs at the end. Let me see your number of places, if it's oversubscribed. So from our point of view, there's no such thing as oversubscribed because it's all online. There is no maximum number. So that's up to each of you as your individual organizations and as a group to figure out how you want to do that. I think if all of your team want to do it, then that makes a really compelling case to take to your chief exec with the data to show demand. That's something that me and Shakira can help you with. That's something we spend a lot of our time doing. The other way you can do it is to create a wait list and let those people know that if we do a second Essex bond next year, that they will be part of that one. So skills that we know bonders will develop: innovation, so they will be more comfortable to bring new ideas to the table; sales and storytelling, communicating, being able to negotiate better; time management, more comfortable keeping boundaries and saying no; working in the open, shorter feedback loops means less wasted effort, more visibility for you and your team; direct requests, which means more direct requests equals less guesswork. So these are some testimonials from people like yourselves in people positions, HR positions: Jodie Pritchard, who's the head of learning at Citizens Advice; Tina Phillips, the VP of People; Carolyn McGee, head of ops at Impact Arts. And similar testimonials, which I can share with you later, from bonders themselves. When we're thinking about long-term change, the way that we create that is we create buddy groups. And I think this is particularly compelling for Essex because we want to build relationships across organisations. We know that that leads to more collaboration, less silos, greater transparency, more feedback, as Dan kind of pointed to in his introduction. It makes it better for the whole sector. They also will then join Global Bond, and the cost of Global Bond is wrapped up in the ticket price that you will pay. So they get immediately 12 months access to the Global Bond membership after their 6 weeks is over. And how much it costs is £1,136.99 per person, and that is including VAT. You can pay us by invoice. You can, let me get my chat box back. You can pay by invoice, you can pay by card. You might need to set us up as a supplier. That's absolutely fine. That's something we do every day. It's also, we might already be on your books as a supplier because we've had many people from many different local authorities take part in our public bonds over the last few years. So what happens now? So this is the bit to pay attention to. So we have made a form a form that we would like you to fill in by Friday. This Friday, it'll take you less than 5 minutes. And it's so that me and Shakira and the teams at Braintree and Essex have a sense of where you're at, how many people you're thinking of enrolling, what you think that might look like. If you've got questions you want us to answer, or you'd like to have a further follow-up call with me or any of our partners, we can make that happen. So Shakira's going to put the link in the chat for you now. I would suggest that you promote this by sharing our website, weareupfront.com. We also have a podcast and an Instagram. There's links to these in the following slides, so you don't have to go and find them. The other thing you have to do is to make sure our emails are marked safe by your IT teams. We have all sorts of difficulties with local government IT systems locking us out and not letting us talk to you. And we really don't want that to happen for the Essex bond. So if you can make our emails safe so that we can communicate with you, that would be wonderful. And in terms of timeline, we're having our open door event today. It's the 11th. We would like you to fill in the form by the 14th of July. The 1st of September is the deadline for people registering for the women you want to enroll. That's really the deadline for them to get into the platform. So we would want to have numbers, names and email addresses, invoices already in the system by that time. We'll confirm final numbers by the 8th of September, and on the 11th of September is when it will begin, and it will end 6 weeks later. And it is a 6-week course that we recommend you spend 3 hours a week of study time on. Some people spend much more than that. It is a course that you could do full time if you wished. I don't think anyone in Essex is going to be in that position. And some people do less. It is designed to be self-led. It is designed to be modular, so people can fit it in and around their existing commitments and busy schedules. So some frequently asked questions: when are the weekly lives? So they happen every Monday for 1 hour. Can we delay our participation and do an Essex bond next year? Well, no, because we need to do one first to prove how wonderful it is and have the data and the results and the impact so that we can make the case for another one. Time required, 2 to 3 hours a week. Is there a maximum number of people that you can enroll? There's no maximum. Is there a minimum? Yes. So for the whole cohort, for the whole Essex bond, and there might be 10 organisations represented there, maybe less, maybe more, we recommend 50 seats as a minimum. And that's because it's really important for us that there is a momentum of community. And that's the number where we feel that momentum of community is generated. These are the times of the lives. Just so you have these, I'll send these slides later, because maybe some of the people that you might want to enroll might want to know when these are. The important thing to know about these is they are all recorded. So we do not expect everybody to come to every single one and be able to be at them all. We encourage them to be there live, but it's not necessary. And links so that you have them: our Lottie case study, the Royal Borough of Greenwich case study, articles around why this is a good investment, how to set your bond up for success. And I think that is all our questions. So yeah, our ask of you to fill in the form, to tell the world about this collaboration. I'm not exaggerating when I say we're talking to some of the biggest tech brands in the world, and they're emailing me and Shakira to say, let us know how the Essex bond goes, because they are so inspired by what this model will look like in a geography. Like, this is the first time we've done bonds for employees at Nike, we've done bonds for employees at London Borough Councils. We've never hosted a bond for a geographic area. And there are so many people watching this and excited to see what the impact will be and the results, what the women will then do with what they learn and how that will impact your sector. So talk to people about this work, mark our emails as safe. We want to build a relationship with you. So reach out, ask questions, say hello. And we also ask for grace and patience, as nobody in this call has done this before in this way. So we are building this together, which means, you know, I'm sure there will be at least a tech hiccup somewhere along the way. So yes, that was all of my slides. And now I'm going to stop sharing, and hopefully we can have a conversation if some of you have got questions that we haven't covered.
I'm going to unmute and share a question in the chat box, which Tracy asked just before she had to jump off. And she's asking about how a safe place is created when there's people from different seniority levels. How is it suited to everyone? And she also asks, which perhaps someone from the Essex team can answer, is what happens if there's so many people that want to join? How will you work out who gets to be a part of the bond?
Okay, so the piece about what makes a safe space is, you know, very much to do with my background and expertise in service design and leadership and organizational design. So I set up my first business when I was 23, which was a service design consultancy called Snook, which some of you might be familiar with. So we did a lot of work with local government. And, you know, it's my job to design learning journey and design environments that promote vulnerability, that promote reflection and sharing. And there also is just a bit of it where you'll have to trust me that that's how it goes and that's how it works, and that's why we get the results that we get, why we get the testimonials that we get. And as you saw, the results that you saw in that video are very commonplace. Like, that's the kind of average response that we get from the program. But I think at its core, it's because we are very clear and explicit about what our values are. But whenever you join our space, you have to agree to our community guidelines, and we have different experts in the space to facilitate that learning. So an important person being our anti-racism coach. And in terms of lots of different levels of seniority, I think you'll all be able to speak to relationships that you have in your work, where you have a relationship with someone more senior than you or more junior than you, where there is connection and vulnerability and togetherness. And we scale that, and we make that the norm in our space. You know, I think if there were 5 chief execs there, then that's something that we would have a conversation about, put it on the table. You know, what does that mean for this community? I think it's unlikely that's going to happen. But yeah, with the Lottie Bond, we had over 100 women from the various London borough councils, and it was a huge success. The main feedback was, when is the next one? We're still getting emails asking when the next one is, because they all have a wait list too. And then, so what was the question? Safe space, and who's it for? Yeah, I think if I were you, I would either do a call out, and then you get people who have self-identified, this is an area of development for me, this is something that I want to work in, or you can say, we want to give this to people who are leadership potential, manager potential, new in manager positions. You know, you'll I know people like Daryl who work in learning and development, have all sorts of programs and ways of supporting people at different levels. So I would, you know, trust your instinct on that.
Also asked about oversubscription and if there'll be another bond, what will happen?
Yeah, I mean, the short answer is that's up to all of you, because of course we want every woman in the world to be in a bond at one stage in her career. So if there is an oversubscription, I think that's a really compelling case for, and we can help you put that together to take to senior leaders or decision makers, budget holders. I know many of you are in the call today. You know, it's probably a question more for people like Dan rather than me around how decisions are made about where investment happens. Misha, will there be any type of assessment or test? Will there be any type of project presenting public? So there's no assessment or test. There's an evaluation form that they fill in at the start, at the end. So you're able to, we have data on their progress, and presenting and public speaking is in all of it. So that's like a really core part of the work, and the live sessions, and in the other, you know, when we come together as a group, they're encouraged to speak out in front of the group. They also arrange within themselves to present to each other, you know, so that's a very core part of the work. Any other questions? Hesitations, concerns? We'd like to consider enrolling as an NHS trust. Would you give an NHS a reduction on the fee? And would we have reduction for multiple enrolments, 3 to 5 individuals? I think we can offer a reduction. We have a charity discount that is available for NHS trusts, but there is no reduction for multiple individuals for this specific cohort. So Jeremy, you can, Shakira will drop you a line with that, and we can get you set up for sure. We're actually having another conversation about an NHS bond. So maybe that's something that I could pick your brains on as well, but we'd love to have you. Any other questions? What I might do then, because we finished a bit early, Shakira, if you could put the link to the type form in the chat, and maybe you can all take a second to fill that in now, and then we know we've got your information. That would make our lives a lot easier. And I wonder if there's anything that anybody else would like to add. Daryl, I know we've been working hard on this together. If I missed anything or anything you'd like to contribute. And Dan, I really appreciate that you're still here. I missed your busy day. Is there anything you'd like to share? More than welcome.
That's really, I'm sorry, I'll just jump in because I'm going to have to go to another session, but really good presentation, great opportunity. I was just thinking, you know, have we got ways to promote this? Really, I'm happy to obviously push it out there. I can do something on my networks and talk to colleagues in some of the other, not just councils, but I mean, it's across the whole public sector really, isn't it, in Essex? So I think it sounds really exciting. Obviously, every organisation is going to have some constraints in terms of budget, but yeah, I'm really happy to promote this as much as I can. So thank you, Lauren.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and just from my perspective, Lauren, you know, I was just so inspired when I first had you join us as that keynote speaker, and I could really see potential for this across Essex. So, you know, I'm willing it to be something that people are interested in signing up to. So in the same way that Dan's offered, you know, I'm keep pushing it across our learning and development, our OD networks to raise the interest, because I think sometimes we're so inundated with things in our inboxes that we can overlook really good opportunities. So the more voices we can get out to, the better, I think. But anyway, I will be working to recruit people from within our organisation, but anything I can do or any questions that anybody might have afterwards, then they can also drop me an email message. And I'll either ask Shakira or if I can't answer the questions. Also, just to say that, Lauren, as well, I've had some opportunity to do a bit of coaching with some of the global bonds, and you know, the networking opportunities for this are fantastic. So there, you know, mentoring and coaching goes on even afterwards, is a real bonus too.
Yeah. Misha's saying, sounds so inspiring and empowering. Jeremy and I will feed back to the NHS Foundation Trust. We can have further conversations around the NHS bond. Fantastic. Well, Shakira and I really are here to serve. I know I threw a lot of information at you in a short time. So any questions that pop up afterwards, drop us a line. And also if there are people that you want us to meet, you know, I think these relationships and trust really matter in things like this. And it can be very difficult to expect someone to sign off a budget when there's not even a face behind where it's going. So we are really happy to have those conversations, to convene, to meet, whatever we can do to help make it happen, because we see every day the immense impact that this has on your women, and we want to scale that as far as we possibly can. Good. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here, for signing up. If you're watching back the recording, hello. And yeah, we'll be in touch. Shakira and I will send you all an email. Remember to mark our emails as safe, and hopefully we'll at least see all of your colleagues in September in the Essex Bond. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.